Good evening, and welcome to SlushHeap. Tonight is Season 4, Episode 11, and if you're counting, this is our 42nd show. Doesn't seem like it, but you know, when time passes when you're having a lot of fun. We're continuing tonight with that subject of writing a book, and last week's show was such a success that we continued it by having by continuing our marketing effort. We have some fantastic guests on tonight that can lead you in that direction you want to go as you're writing your book and you're done now and you've sent it where you were supposed to send it to your beta readers and your editor has torn it apart a couple of times, and now it's time to get that book out there in front of that public that wants to read it. And that's what we're here for tonight, is to make sure that that book that you wrote is ready for that and how to market it. So, Darcie, you're the expert on that. I'm going to throw you under the bus again for the last time this season. Have at it.
All right. You know, that's double pressure. You've now called me an expert, so I feel that I need to live up to it. But fortunately, I won't be alone in doing so, because we've brought in some wonderful guests this week and a couple friends of the show that are going to share what they know about marketing their books. Everyone on the panel tonight has written at least one book. The most published author this evening is Pattimari, who has written, correct me if I'm wrong, 33 books in her time as a writer. That is a lot of books, so congratulations on that number. That's impressive. We're going to start, as usual, with our introductions. I'm going to make it sweet and simple and to the point, and then I'll throw it back over to Rudi to start our conversation on the right foot. First, we're joined tonight by John Rakestraw.
Hi, everyone.
Seated beside him this evening is Juliette Hill of One Vintage Heart and also of Annie Acorn Publishing. She'll be telling us a bit about her efforts with both. Seated beside her this evening are Peter and Pattimari. They are going to be working together as a team, as they do in their writing efforts nowadays. And as always, our friend of the show, making his very, very cool but late entrance, Harlan. And my co-host Rudi, who you've already met this evening, excuse me. And seated beside him is return guest Boyce, who's going to be talking not only about her own writing, but also the efforts she's putting forth to help other authors. So welcome, Boyce.
Thank you.
And that brings us back to the point where I once again get to put the pressure on Rudi's shoulders. So, Rudi, have at it.
Where do we start? Let me flip a coin. Now, the thing is, I guess the first thing we should talk about is, because you already mentioned the fact that Juliette is, has the Anne Acorn Publishing Company behind her, or whatever you said there. Maybe let's go around the room and see. And we'll start with John, since he's on my left. You know, everybody's always mixed up in this thing.
That's true.
So, you know, don't take us serious when we say we start. That's my left, not necessarily yours. But I'll start with John. And I know, John, you basically have at least 2 books under your belt. You used a publisher for them?
No, I self-published all
They
mine.
were indie. Okay, indie. So it's the John Rakestraw Publishing Company.
That's my wife and I, yeah, with the Rakestraw book design, yeah.
There you go. Now, in addition, we're also going to touch again tonight on one other thing that John is has made an effort at, and a very good one, I must say, and that is he actually took one of his books and turned it into an audiobook. And I want to tell our friends out there that are listening and watching tonight, you know, don't take that lightly. You know, that is a means of getting your book out there, because you'd be surprised how many people are no longer texting on their way to work. They're actually listening to somebody read them a book, you know. And John has taken that upon himself. He was kind enough last week to even show us his studio that he created in his house. So he's very serious about that. It's something we'll get back to. Juliette, so you're with Ann Acorn Publishing? Am I right on that? Yep. Juliette?
Did we lose her temporarily?
No, I think.
Is she there?
Maybe.
Juliette is with, oh, there she is. Hi, Juliette. So Annie Acorn Publishing, can you tell us a bit about what you do with them? And I'm not really sure. We're having major technical difficulties tonight, but let me just tell a bit. Juliette Hill has been affiliated with Annie Acorn Publishing for a bit of time now, and the two of them actually work together as writers. And she as well has her own website called One Vintage Heart that she will hopefully be able to tell us a bit about very soon. They have written a number of books together now as well as separately, so there's certainly a huge lineup of stuff that she's done, and hopefully she'll be able to put in her 2 cents on that. Julia, are you back with us now?
It doesn't say she even left.
No, I know, that's very odd. So, Rudi, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, moving along, Pattimari and Peter, was it just Pattimari that wrote the books, or is this a joint effort between the two of you?
No, Pattimari and I write as a joint effort.
Okay.
We combine our talents and our research, and we interchange and exchange chapters until we have the ideas all ironed out based on very advanced research that we do. So we make sure what we write is either factual or believable to some extent, unless we're writing fairy tales. And along the way, we decided that there were many other people out there with great talent, and it was, for us, a thought that perhaps we could help these other people who have not been able to produce a book or who are afraid to get involved, and we took it upon ourselves to have them join PNP Authors and learn the trade. And right at this exact moment, we are involved with 5 or 6 other authors who submit chapters or multi-chapters on a creative plot that we have. And if it turns out fine, we will have the book published, and these non-authors or non-published people will have a chance to see their name in print on a real live book out in the market.
Great.
Excellent. That's fabulous. So, Rudi, we've actually, I don't mean to interrupt, but I think Juliette's back on and able to speak again, so we can jump back to her about Annie Acorn and move forward. Juliette, are you there?
What? She's frozen up again.
I know. Every time I think she's there. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. We'll keep going.
So in the 30, just go back to Peter and Pattimari. The 30-odd books that you actually published, were they published through a publishing house, or did you indie publish them?
No. This comes from a legitimate Lulu publishing company.
Okay.
And we don't do any self-publishing. It's a matter of Pattimari, and before we got together to combine our writing, Pattimari made contact with a legitimate publishing company, and her works were so good and so advanced, many of them on nonfiction, on counseling, that the publishing company fell in love with her work, and we have been continuously doing that now. Pattimari and I have combined our talents to write 16 books in addition to the books she wrote before on her own, and it covers any subject and every subject that happens to come into our mind. We have no preconceived notion of what we're going to be doing, and along with that thought, that's when we came up with the idea to help other writers who would love to see their works in print, or even their name in print. And right now, Pattimari has been working very diligently on PNP Promotional Magazine. We're going to form a magazine that will allow people to put their works in. We will interview them. We'll promote whatever thoughts and ideas they have, and advertise their works for them.
It's fabulous. And actually, that's why one of the main reasons why I wanted to have you guys on. Now, you guys, aside from the actual magazine, have been doing this quite regularly for some time on your website. Isn't that right?
Oh, yes, PMP Authors, yes. And anybody that got on PMP Authors could see all of the books that we have written and see the genres that we have covered. It's limitless. Whenever an idea pops into our mind, that's when we start creating. Self-help books on psychology, which are excellent for people who have maybe emotional problems or some other health-related problems. This book is an excellent example on how to overcome through this therapy book, and a book on reality and realistic solutions.
Excellent.
You know, all that's created a lot more questions. So let me go through the rest of the people. We're going to come back, and I have some questions to ask you about that, because that's really interesting. That what you've done, you've done already what we're trying to do. So I'm sure you can teach us a few things. Let me go back for a minute to Juliette. Welcome back, Juliette.
Thank you. I'm sorry. There's some technical glitch again.
We all have that problem. So we try to give you the plug, and you're part of Anchor Publishing. Am I correct? You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I lucky enough to meet Annie about 4 years ago in a writing group, and she had a dream to start a publishing company. So I got in on the ground floor with her, and I was invited about 3 years ago to contribute a story to her first Christmas Treasury. And so it's gone on from there. My first short story in the anthology did fairly well. And so then subsequently I've published today probably about 8 short stories and 1 tween teen novella. And then I'm writing with Annie collaboratively on our Charlotte Kent series.
Okay. Sounds like you're really busy. So,
yes.
Darcie mentioned that One Vintage Heart?
Yes, that's my website. Mm-hmm.
That's your website.
Yes.
And is that also is your blog and your website the same?
Yes, my blog is the first on the home page of my website. So
okay.
Yeah, I like to do everything under the One Vintage Heart umbrella.
Okay, great. Okay, so now we're coming to the next person on my list here, SM. You have to. There you go. How come you muted yourself?
My keyboard is really loud. It sounds like rain when I type, and I was researching everyone as they spoke, and I didn't want to.
That's okay. That's soothing. Rain is soothing.
Not this rain. You don't want to hear.
Torrential downpour.
So you wrote at least one book that we know of before you decided to do other things in this industry. Who did you use for a publisher in your case?
I'm self-published, and I love it.
You're self-published,
I have 3 books out right now. The 4th one comes out this year in November. That's in the Grimoire Saga. Right.
I remember them well. They were the ones that had the beautiful people on the cover.
They have beautiful eyes. That's all you get to see.
So, but Boyce, you're now actually helping other authors because you've had quite a bit of success with the self-publishing, which a lot of people can't say the same. A lot of people get into it and kind of get overwhelmed and find themselves so bogged down by it that they can't get anywhere. Yeah. So what exactly are you doing for people that need that extra helping hand?
I'm a writing Sherpa now, is what I call it. I lead you through the publishing industry. I do a lot of mindset work, marketing help, promotion planning. Basically, any questions with the publication process, I help people do now. There's so much, and it's so easy to get overwhelmed that I like to unstick people and level them up in their careers, because sometimes all it takes is a external perspective, someone who's objective and can help you really level up.
Excellent. So our topic of the evening now is continuing your marketing efforts, and I think that one of the things that I really wanted to touch on is there seems to be this feeling that exists with a lot of people that get their book out and they see those first 100 sales maybe, and it's very exciting and it's new and it you feel so prosperous, and then there's that decline, that inevitable, my friends have all bought it, my family has all bought it, and I'm not seeing any more. Yeah, there's no more sales. How do you what would you say to someone who's at that point to keep them going?
Prepare beforehand. I know that doesn't help when you're in there, and I do have advice on how to get out of that sticking point, but honestly the best way to avoid that 90-day cliff is what I often hear people call it. The best way to avoid that is to have a solid marketing campaign in place and then have consistent marketing campaigns after that. So you have to continue to stay relevant and just continue to have marketing campaigns going, usually every 2 to 3 months, so that you can really stay relevant and keep people keep in the forefront of others' minds.
Okay.
You want me to define marketing campaign? Because I know that's
I was actually going to go that direction, so go for it.
A marketing campaign is any series of events that you schedule beforehand. So the easiest marketing campaign, the most common one you see, is a book launch, and that's where you go on a blog tour, you do social media tweets and posts on a recurring area. You get people to share on their own blogs outside of your tour. You basically have a bunch of things going on. You're everywhere you can be at one time, and usually those last between 2 to 4 weeks is a good length for a campaign. That's the easy one. That's the most common one. Book cover reveals are another really common one. I like to spice it up and try different things. So a really fun one that I did not long ago, it was called Through the Lich Gate, and I collected stories of about, I think it was 10 readers of how they discovered my series, and I shared that story in a blog tour. So we went to several different blogs and just shared their stories. And so it was about them, not necessarily about me, but it still spread the word about my book.
Excellent. Excellent. No, and that's a really good point. So I think the follow-up question to that then is coming back to Juliette. Annie Acorn Publishing, that's one of the things that she really aimed to do, was sort of help people not only get their book out there, but then continue with the marketing effort. So have you seen any other marketing, how do I want to say this? Like, she's giving the tips, she's telling something that she did. Are there any other great marketing stories you've heard along the way?
Well, I just think that I'm learning this as I go. It's there's always something else to learn about the marketing, and I think that one thing that Annie has implemented, which I feel is another continual marketing strategy or tip, is that she's doing the new pen and ink section on her the Annie Acorn Publishing website, and we're having guest quills come on. So it's always a question that's related to something that any writer could face, and it's getting that guest person giving them exposure, and that will continually be on an archive, so you can always go to that. So I think that just there are many opportunities for people to guest on other people's websites to get that little marketing boost every once in a while. I think that's just a continual thing that happens. Personally, for me, I feel like Twitter has really been the best tool that I have used.
Actually, that was going to be my next question to everyone, and I'll go through it, but we'll start with you. Is that it? Is Twitter your kind of go-to when you're wanting to promote something?
It has been so far. I'm trying to branch out because there are so many great opportunities, and I've done Facebook launch parties and things like that. But I really think it's just making that connection with your reader and other writers, and I think Twitter is just such an excellent platform for that. So I guess I always gravitate to that.
Okay. How about you, John? Which do you find has been most beneficial?
All of them.
Okay.
I know it's just being involved. The big thing is, as some of these people have said, is that getting out there and being involved within your marketing. Don't expect it just to happen. Don't expect somebody else to do it for you. Don't expect that you're going to go and do a show like this right here is a perfect example. I used to do a lot of these hangouts on air and also blog talk radio. And the problem I've seen is that authors or people who are guests on them don't promote that they did a show. Here's this moment that you did. You talked about your product. You talked about what you did. And you don't see them out there promoting it. That's the problem, is that we don't promote ourselves. And I think whatever you use, Twitter or whatever, is great. They're all wonderful. I use them all. And when I do put effort into it, my sales go up. When I don't and I'm lazy, which it happens, it doesn't. It doesn't. My sales are, But when I put a concerted effort, like I have in the last few weeks, my sales went up. And that's so you have to do it. It's doing it, and don't expect somebody else to do it for you. Don't expect that somebody's going to, be your great, rooting section. Right. You have to do it. You have to get out there. You have to be a part of it. It doesn't mean that you're out there, though, going, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. That's boring, and nobody listens to you. Find something interesting, as we saw with everybody talking, is that find that great human interest story that's associated with what you're doing. Find something out there that's about that. If you're doing murder mysteries, then find something interesting about murder mysteries. Maybe it's Agatha Christie's birthday, or that they're doing the last season of Hercule Poirot on PBS, or you've got a series of stuff, or some other writer that you like that you'll talk about. So it's a lot of work, and I think that's what people think, that it's not going to be work, that they can just push out books and voila, they're going to be making a living. No, it's it's a hard life to put out a book, and then you got to spend the rest of your life promoting it.
Right, exactly.
So it's. I have a question for you. Okay. SM said that there is that 90-day, whatever she called it, which I understand. Now, your books were published initially. How long ago?
Oh, heavens. A couple of years ago for one, almost 2 years ago, and the other one was, about a year ago?
So you're still promoting them, though. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah. They're fun. I wrote them. I love them. They're my babies. It's like I have 8 children. I don't just spend 90 days with my children and then they're off running.
That's it. You're out.
No, I've had to spend many years with my children, and it's marvelous. And that's with the books. They're part of your family. Yeah, pull them out. Show your pictures. But find something interesting to talk about them. Don't just throw them up and say, buy. I see that so much on Twitter. Here's my book. Or telling me how many stars you got. To tell you the truth, people, I don't care how many damn stars you got for your reviews. I don't. I love to hear about your book. I don't care what. I know I can go and look at your book and see that you got reviews. That's beautiful. But nobody cares. What they want to know about is what do you got a story about? What is your story? Why do I want to read your story? See, that's the thing, is what we got to teach people is we got to market reading, not buying. Ford doesn't market buying their trucks. Microsoft doesn't market buying their software. They market using it, and that's what we have to do. What do people do with our product? They read it. So we should be marketing reading. That's what we should be. Okay. Anybody else want to slap me and say no?
No, I think that you're right, and I think that's, and I'm going to come back to Peter and Pattimari, because that's sort of what they're now doing. Now, you've obviously had success, so I'll let you first say what your favorite channel has been for promoting yourself, but then, also, how do people reach out to you so that they can be promoted on your site?
They have to unmute themselves first.
Oh, yes. Go to the top of your screen, the center top of your screen, and there's a little microphone. You just got to hover over it with your mouse, and you should be able to unmute yourself.
Nope, not yet.
It's right up at the top of the center of the top of your screen. You just got to run your little mouse up there and hover over, and there's a little microphone that will unmute you. Okay, while we're waiting, Harlan, what's your favorite channel for marketing yourself? Peter, we're going to come right back to you when you get unmuted.
Oh, they just turned themselves off again.
Okay, Harlan, go ahead. What's your channel of choice?
Well, in as much as all of my friends and relatives are dead, I had one sale.
I'm still alive. What are you talking about? I'm still here.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, man. I'm putting the here.
Also, way to be morbid.
I know sometimes I look like The Walking Dead, but I'm still here, Harlan.
We'll just turn the camera off if that's the case. So, Harlan, come on. What is it?
Start over again.
I've developed a bad reputation on Google Plus, and I'm hoping that'll inspire people to buy my books. But it seems they've all put an X in the box that says "Do not donate blood." I probably won't get a lot of sales.
All right, so Google Plus, is that how I'm supposed to take it? Google Plus is where you like to hang out.
I have a blog, and I have 5 different venues that I sell through, the usual.
Okay. So how about you, Boyce? Where are you spending your time?
Surprisingly, Facebook. It used to be Twitter, but I like Facebook as much for promotion as for group networking. But, you know, it's like John said, you kind of got to be everywhere. You don't want to go into overwhelm and try to do everything, especially if you don't like a certain platform. It just doesn't gel with what you enjoy doing. And you also don't want to be somewhere your audience isn't. So if your audience is on Instagram, it's probably good for you to go to Instagram and stop wasting your time on, you know, Google Plus if they're not there. It's all about how do you enjoy sharing? Are you visual? Do you prefer a short burst? Do you want to do vines, which are videos? How do you enjoy sharing, and what does your audience want? That's where you should be.
Okay, yeah. So what about the person that you're helping that is getting, has created all these accounts and now is getting to the point where they're overwhelmed or doesn't know how to use them? I mean, what?
At that point, you want to squat to keep your name, your profile in a couple places, but focus on the 2 or 3 maybe that you're best at, then that's where your audience is. And the trick, of course, is to back up even from that to figure out where your audience is. That's when you start to create your ideal reader, and that gets into volume. But start with 2 or 3 and expand out from there, and just let the other ones take for a little while.
Yeah, I think that's been sort of true for us as well. I mean, even with the show, it just becomes too much when you're trying to do 6 or 7 channels all the time.
Sure.
So Peter's back on. Peter,
we can hear you.
Where do you guys promote yourselves?
We're in Fresno, California.
But where do you go online? Do you prefer Twitter, or do you blog, or?
We put out our book. Actually, what happened, we did a very extensive research book on fairy tales and nursery rhymes, but we promote all over the United States and foreign countries, and we've been widely received in the United Kingdom because of the fairy tales and fantasy stories that were originated from those countries and have been very widely received. Many of our books are on Barnes & Noble, and we've since put our books on Kindle, so it is very easy to get a hold of the books. But more important is than people accepting our books, our purpose is to develop a dialogue with people who want to be published or want help in their publishing or in their writing skills to join our group. We started out
how do they reach out to you?
We started with 4 or 5 members. We have over 300, and many of them are extremely well-read, very accomplished writers all over the United States and foreign countries, and they contribute to our site along with many of the other people who have an interest in writing. So Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle.
All right, how do people reach out to you?
Saturated.
if they want to be on PNP Authors, how do they reach you? How do they get a hold of you?
On Google, you put in PNP Authors on Google, and up comes our site. And there's a place on there to contact Pattimari, and she takes it from there.
Excellent.
Pattimari, Pattimari @hotmail.com, and they're off and running. These
Excellent.
are for some of the people who are afraid. They think their writing skills are very poor, and it doesn't matter. And it's magical. And once we get people started and developing a sense of worthiness for themselves, then they're off and running, and it's amazing what.
There's a book in every person.
A book in every person. And
yes, and I love that saying, because she actually wrote that before the show, and I think that's very true. I think that's a good point. Like, everyone should have a chance to tell their story.
I think, Darcie,
and when you don't know where to go or how to get started, then that's what our site is for.
Excellent. Oh, go ahead, Rudi. I'm sorry.
well, one of the things I think we should mention is that Pattimari and Peter in the last week or so have taken up another cause, and that is to help us out and push us out there. Definitely, you know, that already shows you the character that they are, you know, to just go out and you know, do it from the goodness of their heart. And you know what? I see a difference in traffic, definitely.
Yeah,
So-
well, you know what, and actually that brings up a good point. So, while theirs is more or less a blog. I mean, they're going on and they're telling you the story of an author, and you know, each week or I'm not sure exactly how often. How often, Peter?
Every week.
One every week.
Spotlight every week. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so the weekly spotlight. So they're basically putting up a weekly blog about an author and you know, telling a bit about them. So Juliette, you mentioned actually having guest blog spots and you know, having guest bloggers on your site. Do you think that does a lot for your book as far as marketing is concerned?
Well, I think it does, because if you have your book on your site, you know, through Amazon Associates, then when traffic comes to your website, you're going to be able to, through the guest author, that then they're seeing your book as well as the guest book.
Okay.
I mean, I really think that you can gain a lot by, you know, I don't think it hurts to invite guest authors to your site. I think it will, you know, spice your site up and, you know, increase your traffic. When I was first starting out, I actually saw like kind of an open call on Facebook for people to host a blog, you know, help host blog tour for a certain publishing company. And I jumped at the chance because I thought that's a chance to get out and be seen and draw people to my website, because I was very new to, you know, blogging, and having my website was, you know, that was very recent. So this was several years ago, but I think there's a lot of value in it.
Excellent. So then, Boyce, the question I'm going to follow up with then is, you mentioned blog tours, and she's now mentioned blog tours. What does a person do that wants to do that? I mean, a new author who's just getting out there, how do they go about arranging a blog tour?
I have a couple options. It depends on whether or not you want to pay anything for it. The easiest way when you're doing your first tour and you don't really have much of a network is to hire a blog tour company, and there are several very good ones. Expresso Reads is the one that always comes to mind when people ask, because Giselle is amazing and she's very professional. You do run into a lot of very unprofessional blog tour companies. I've been burned by a couple, so it's something you do have to research and be very careful of who you select. Your average 2-week blog tour, if I remember correctly, is about $150, $200. So
Okay.
if you want to budget that, just make sure and do your research, because everyone charges something different. The best way to do it is to organize it yourself, and that does take a network. That's the slow way. That's the slow version, but it's more. Oh, sorry, I just saw Rudi's chat to me. I'll write this down. I'm squirrely. I can do one thing at a time. What was I talking about? I don't even remember.
Doing it yourself, organizing your tour yourself.
It's the absolute best way because you can actually find people who have a lot of followers, who have your audience among their followers, who have high engagement. It's your chance to really have some requirements for the people you select, and it's a nice way to make relationships with bloggers because bloggers are amazing, and you want to cherish any bloggers who absolutely adore you. So make sure you treat them well. But yeah, definitely networking is the best way to do that. And you can do that through Facebook groups. You can do that through Twitter. It's all about building the connections and communicating, like John was saying earlier.
Okay, so what's the difference then, you know, for the new authors out there, what's the difference between a true blog tour and reaching out to book reviewers?
A blog tour is organized and is set over a couple of weeks. It's very structured and planned. Okay. Reaching out to people for reviews is sporadic. It's whenever they get to it. Now, you can have a review tour, and that's when you have people reviewing your book within a certain period of time. So if I'm reviewing your book as part of your review tour, and my date is July 2nd, my review is going up on my blog on July 2nd. Okay. That's a review tour. When it's just a book reviewer doing what they do best, it goes up whenever they get around to it.
Okay. So, John, you have done a lot with that. I mean, not necessarily reviewing other people's books, but really doing a lot to promote other people's stuff, I've noticed. Is that, do you find that that's a really good way to promote yourself in the long run, by promoting others?
No, I do it for the nice. I've never, to tell you the truth, I've never seen much from it. I do it because it's nice. I do it because there's a lot of people out there as writers who have written some great books, and they're not getting the depth they need to in their marketing. They're not getting their stream. And so I see something, and I'll say, you know, here's a nice person. Go and read their book or look at their review. Look at what they're doing. I think we spend, personally, myself personally, I think we spend too much time going after reviews when we should be spending time going after readers. And not all, you know, and we spend a lot of time with writers. And it's great. I love writers. Matter of fact, I work with writers. I have a company. We help people put their books together. So, but we spend, I think we spend too much time as writers, you know, looking for writers when we should be looking for readers, because that's how you get income. I mean, if you're in this just for fun, that's fabulous. But if you're in this to make a living and get people to read your book, going after reviews after review after review seems to me a waste of time. I understand that it can be somewhat helpful, but the reality, you want people to buy your book, and that's what you should be working on, is getting people to see your book. Reviews are great, but you spend a lot of time trying to get reviews when what you should be is trying to get people to read it. If they do a review, fantastic. If they don't, fine. I've read a lot of books and never done a review. I've read thousands and thousands of my lifetime books. I read, you know, huge amount of books every year. I don't write a review, but it's still, Stephen King still did quite well without me, so I'll give him credit, you know. So I think we get lost in what we're told to do. We're told about, and I have nothing wrong with these blogger tours. I think they're interesting. I don't see them working very many for a lot of writers. I think they're a wonderful idea if they know how to use it. It's like, remember when Oprah Winfrey had her, she would have an author on and she'd have her reading list, and the people's books would sell sometimes unbelievably. They forget to tell you the other part of the story. There are people who were there, went on that show, did everything, and hardly sold anything because they didn't know how to take advantage of the opportunity. And that's the thing we should be talking about. If you're on this show or if you're doing a blog tour, let people know about it. Don't just expect the blog person who you're going to go to is going to have people. You got to let people know. You got to tell people. And we tend to think that, oh, well, I did this show. And I can guarantee you right now, most people sitting in this audience tonight, and you know, you're all fabulous, will not hardly talk about this, that they did this tonight. They're going to talk about it, maybe plus whatever you put up. They're going to, do one little thing. Yes, I had a great time, but you won't see anything else after that forever again. And it's a shame because they have 15 minutes of time here. Actually, an hour, but each of us has our time here. Why not take advantage of that? Let people know what you did. So that's the thing. I don't think we take advantage of the opportunities that are put before us. We go off and think somebody else is going to take care of that. Nobody is. It's you. Even if you got a publisher, you don't see guys like who write the Dresden File. You don't see him sitting on his, on his laurels and going, I sold so many books. No, he's at all kinds of conventions. He's at the comic book conventions. He's everywhere because he knows that's where his audience is. And that's what we have to do. Where's our audience? How do we get to them? How do we get to those people who would read our book? And that's the thing we don't talk about. We talk about blog tours. And I like, blog tours are a great idea. But that's, we don't take advantage of the opportunities. I know, now I've upset people, and I love you all. You're marvelous for writing. I mean, getting a book out.
I think that it's very true. I think that it's something that a lot of authors struggle with because they're sort of afraid to take that step forward. And I don't think that you're wrong in saying that. So then, going back to Juliette, with Annie Acorn Publishing, which you're associated with, do you encourage these things? I mean, do you encourage your writers that you're publishing? Do you encourage them to do the book signings and the shows like this, or how do you encourage them to keep going?
Well, I think too that it's very important to take advantage of every opportunity that's presented to you to get your message out there and get your books visible, or get yourself out there and connect with your audience and readers. And one thing that I did this year, which I felt was very good, was participating in a book festival, a local book festival, and it was just so rewarding connecting with the people that would come by to visit the table. I was promoting my tween teen novella, and it was just awesome, talking with these young girls, and there were parents who came by the booth, and one actually wanted to shake my hand, and I just thought, to me, that was the epitome of making that connection with your audience and with your readers. And I felt like, maybe she'll tell her friend, or, I met author Juliette Hill. So, I mean, I don't mean to sound, like that. It was just such a neat experience, and I really want to do those again. So that was my second real event that I've done, but I believe that in conjunction with the publishing company, we're going to be starting to do a few more events like that and make more connections with independent bookstores and maybe have some signings. But just everything, there's just so many things out there that are possible, but I really think that one-on-one connection with your reader is so important.
I agree.
It's amazing that the way you just explained that, and it's so refreshing. The fact that, if that young girl got a thrill out of meeting you, I'm glad you actually even got a thrill out of having her meet you.
I really did. It was just amazing.
Too many people have that ego that stands in their way and won't allow that to happen. And that's what's wrong. It's like everything else, you need one negative thing to happen, and you lose bundles of people. But you need 10 positive things to happen to gain one new member in your family, kind of,
Yeah,
and what
exactly.
you just did was fantastic, really.
Well, that one moment, I mean, it erased all the negative,
Exactly.
in editing a book and everything like that. Yes, it was great.
Makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay.
So Boyce, which channel has been the most successful for you with your books? I mean, is it those personal appearances where you're actually out in public, or do you find that you have more success in the online arena?
The thing is, you have to do everything. Like, you have to ask for reviews. You have to do blog tours. You have to do marketing campaigns. You have to get out there and do as much as you can. the trick is, yes, it has to be orchestrated. You have to take advantage of what comes your way. But you do have to be out there trying as many things as you can and figuring out what works for you. For me personally, I love the conferences and the conventions. They're so fun. I just got back from UtopiaCon, actually, in Nashville. I was like 2 weekends ago, and I totally second. It's an incredible experience to have someone nervous to meet you. It's humbling, and at the same time, I was like nervous that they were nervous, and we just kind of like fed off of each other's nervous energy. It was a lot of mumbling. It was awkward, but it was fun, and that's the rewarding part. I think that's good for your branding. That's good to establish you as an expert when you're running, not the circuit, but you're out there and experiencing it. But every channel, like you said, has a different purpose, and it contributes to a different part of your business. Because as a writer, you are an entrepreneur. You're running a business.
Yeah, and I think I mean, what do they say? How many times do you have to be seen by one person before they'll actually, pull the trigger, so to speak?
But I've heard 6, 7, and 13. I don't think anyone really knows.
I know, exactly. Whatever number you feel like throwing out there, right? But I think one of the interesting things that you guys are stating is that personal connection that you make with people. And I know in my experience with the show, when I've met a person and I've read their book and I make that connection between the two, it makes me want to read their stuff even more than I already did. I might have loved it, but then kind of, set it aside, and by the time they publish a new one, I've kind of forgotten all about it. But to know that person in the back of your mind and, to be able to put a face with the name really does make a huge difference. So that's something. So many people, and I'm not knocking anyone, certainly it's up to everyone what they want to do and how they want to promote, but we've had a lot of people turn down the opportunity to be on the show because they don't want to appear on camera. And I would think, now correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll put it back to Boyce first, but isn't that kind of the wrong approach? Shouldn't you want your face with your book?
So, yes, the approach is you need to get your face out there, because in a modern writing world, we are more connected to our readers than ever before. It used to be that writers could hide behind a dust jacket and not get out there and not really do much, but that's just not the reality of it anymore. I have actually encountered other authors who don't even have an author photo because they want to remain anonymous, and you can't create connections that way. You have to get out there, you have to be vulnerable, you have to risk saying something stupid on a live Google Hangout. It comes with the territory.
You must have watched last week's show.
I'm saying, you gotta put yourself out there, and vulnerability is such a scary thing. But I have actually a recommendation for anyone who is afraid of that vulnerability. Read absolutely anything by Brené Brown. She's one of my heroes, and she speaks a lot to shame and vulnerability and putting oneself out there. And she is just a wonderful, wonderful person. At least she seems that way. I have never met her. She seems awesome.
So, Juliette, how about you? What's your take on it? More face exposure a good thing? Do you feel like authors can be successful without their face being out there?
I think, everybody has to get their own personal comfort with it. I mean, personally, it's something new for me, but I think I have to realize that I have to take advantage of those opportunities in order to, really make the connection. I think it's really important the visibility is so valuable. This is just a wonderful opportunity. I think with the video and the audio, and I would encourage people to take advantage of that. It's not easy. It's you're putting yourself out there, but I really do think that you have to risk saying the wrong thing, or you can't worry about what people think. You just have to get out there if you're really serious about getting your work known, and you want a future with this.
Right. No, exactly. And I think actually to promote the show, here we go. Here's our little shtick. But this is a great place to start, because there's this wonderful thing called editing software where we can go in afterwards and edit you.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's so great. But no, Debbie said, so here's John. John started as an actor, but you kind of go against the grain. I think the majority of authors are more comfortable sort of hiding behind their computer and, and only go out there for the purpose of, trying to make those connections, but shyly. So what do you bring your acting education into this? How do you encourage people to step beyond that discomfort?
To know what they want to do. Sit down and really think about, as Boyce has said, know what you want to market. Know what you're going to talk about. Know what you want to put out there in front of people. Don't just come on one of these shows and have no idea what your persona is going to be. Know it. Go over it, and over it, so that it comes off as natural, like a regular talking. There's nothing worse than seeing somebody basically reading the back of their book jacket. Learn how to be comfortable within your skin. Look at me. I am the best looking guy, or I should say I'm the best looking ugly guy you'll ever meet. And that's the truth. I'm not good looking. I'm not bad looking either. I mean, my wife has been with me for 34 years, so she finds me okay, or she just, But the reality is, don't be afraid. Go out there. Be part of it. Get involved. Do all these things. Find out, do the blog tours. Do all the different things. Get on Twitter. Try them all and see what works for you. Sooner or later, you're going to find one that hits, and you find your audience, and then you can branch out from that. Don't pick one because everybody says that's the one to go for. Some people say Twitter. That's great, but if you don't know anybody on Twitter, that's not going to help you. If you're on Facebook, and that's where you know people, start on Facebook. Know where you're, and know what your message is. Know who you are. Know what you want, and know when you take somebody to your website, where you're taking them to. What are they going there for? What are they going to do when they go there? Write out the journey you want to take people to from point A to point Z. Know how you want them to go along that path. Know it, and make it so they
call to action. I love that term.
I know it's a great and it's a wonderful. But what happens with call to action is people see it as the sales funnel, and that's not always what call to action is. The call to action is what you want them to do. You might want them to read your blogs. You might want them to find other writers, and you might want to show them that you have that ability for them. Just know what you want them to do. So enjoy and get out there. It's scary, I know, but nobody else is going to do it for you, unfortunately. I wish there was a way that we could all go, bing, you're now ready to sell 1 million books. Oh man, I wish I could. Yeah, I want that. I want Boyce. Can you give that to me? That's what I want. But she would tell me exactly what I know. Well, you got to do this and do this, and you're going to go. Oh, I remember in acting, I had a person. My wife and I had been doing theater for about 10 years, and this person sat down with us and said, "I want to sit with you, and I want to learn what you do as an actor." So we talked to them about all the stuff we do, and they looked at me and they go, "I've already done all that. I've done that. I want to know that magic you do. Why is there magic on stage when you do it, and when I do it, there's not that magic?" And I looked at them and I said, "There's that thing of talent." And I said, "It doesn't mean you don't have talent. It just means that you're using your talent not in the way you need to." This one person wrote down wonderful stuff, so I told her, be a writer, because she wrote beautiful stuff when she talked about her character. So that's the difference, is we need to just allow ourselves to do it and find our muses.
Okay, so John, while we have you, we're at the end of the show, so while we have you on there, overcome your shyness and promote your book.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know, we have Rakestraw Book Design, where we help writers put their books together. We have somebody who does cover art. We have one of the greatest editors out there. There's a lot of wonderful editors. My wife is one of those. I'm just a good-looking guy. I'm the voice and the face of the thing. As a writer, I have Titanic Deception. Also have Creative Energy that I put out there. My wife has put out a bunch of little books, and we do all that. That's Rakestraw Book Design, or you can go and see us both, John and Tony Rakestraw, on Amazon, which is, if you get John Rakestraw, I'm not the guy who does the bird pictures. I'm the guy who does Titanic Deception. Two of us. And the guy lives just up the road from me. He lives up in Portland, so it's funny. Same name. But, you know, but please, people, remember, marketing is a lifelong, beautiful journey, and you're going to have to do it. No matter who you are, no matter what you do. Stephen King still has to do it. He still has to go out, still has to go and show people, he still has to do all that. So just get out there. Let people know what you do, and write. Just write. And, as I always say, you know, please, to feed the soul of a writer, buy their book. Read their book. You know? Read their blogs. That's what really is the beautiful thing about it.
Perfect. So, Juliette, you're up next. We like to give everyone a chance to just kind of talk about what they're doing, where you can find, you know, where we can find you. Pretty much whatever you'd like to tell us about what's going on in your world.
Okay, well, I've just completed my fourth full-length novel, writing collaboratively with Annie Acorn as Charlotte Kent. It's called our Captain's Point Stories series, and the latest book, the fourth one, is called Love Surprise. So that's been taking up a lot of my time, but in my spare time, I'm finishing up my 3 more stories in my Christmas Shop Magic series. So they're short stories, but once I get the next 3 done, I think it might be a box set. So that's exciting.
Great.
But, so I'm continually marketing and also trying to find the time to write. So trying to find that balance.
That's right. Struggle of all writers.
Yes.
So, Pattimari and Peter, what can you tell us about what's going on in your world? What are you working on now? And tell us again the name of your website.
Well, right now we're writing a book from members of our PNP authors, some who have already published books, some who have not, and we're combining all of our talents. You write one chapter, this other guy writes the next chapter, the woman writes the 3rd chapter, and so on until the book turns into a magnificent masterpiece that everybody needs to read. This way, if you're not comfortable writing a full book, you can write a chapter or 2 or 3, but if you really want to find out about us and get involved, here's about one thing about our site. We have competitions on our program. You don't get graded, you don't pass, you don't fail. You enter our little contests, you write something, someone else reads it, they like it, they help you promote it, and there's nobody criticizes you. They offer you positive suggestions. But what's happening with us, if you really want to be noted, our PNP Authors promotional magazine is going to come out January 2015, and this will give new people and older people, the published authors, a chance to promote their works in our magazine, because the magazine will be only about writers. Yeah, we consider artists, poets, all talented, gifted people. Now we promote too. We go to libraries and we read to children. A lot of people don't realize you can enter the library and ask if they're having a children's section, and they're having and yeah, it's fun to meet the children. I'm a retired school teacher, so I know how it is with the little kids that want to listen. We enjoy sites like Slush. Promoting other services such as Slush helps us and helps other people, and we believe that an author should help and support another author. Our site does that. We have some of the strangest little competitions and contests, and the beauty of each one of those, as I just said, you do not fail. You have fun, you contact other people, you get to know people around the world. Some of our friendliest people are from England. We just met a couple people from India. We have people in France, and
on Facebook SlushHeap.
And we're on, oh,
We're on Facebook SlushHeap, and that's why we connected with them.
we love slush.
Heap.
Heap.
Thank you very much for being with us. But we're going to move on to Harlan. And what I'd really like is after the show to be able to talk to you guys and be able to put something together, maybe as like a guest blog or something for our website so we can talk a little more about what you do and how you do it and give Pattimari a chance to really voice her, her opinions on the matter too, if that's okay with you guys.
We're going to try a speaker the next time. We'll get one of those little mouthpieces and try that. Maybe she'll be able to do that.
Oh, that's great.
But we've had a lot of fun on this site, and this is a great promotional site, and you people are wonderful.
Thank you. You too.
Let's not forget Boyce either. Let's not forget Boyce. She needs
Thank
to
you,
be.
John.
Oh, yes, we have Harlan and Boyce still to go, so Harlan's up next.
I think
Harlan, take it out of your mouth, Harlan.
Rudi, would you like to be my straight man one more time to end?
One more time. Go right ahead. Well, I'll tell you what. I thought he couldn't say another word because he's been nothing but writing on my group chat here, and he's talking about coffee tables and pews, and oh boy, I don't even want to know what the rest of it is because I'll get myself in trouble again. So with that, if you have anything left to say, please have at it.
What was the most common word used in the 70s?
In the 70s? Love, peace.
Plastics. Plastics. I think it was, wasn't it?
Letter E.
Okay, come on.
Camera one on me, please.
What was it, Harlan?
Oh, leave it up to Harlan.
All right, we're going away from Harlan. Boyce, it's your turn. It's your turn.
Thank you. So I know I mentioned that I'm a writing Sherpa now, so my main focus in my coaching is really unsticking authors who feel like they're ramming their heads against a wall, basically with a lot of what we've talked about today. And I level them up in their career so that they can walk over the wall instead of trying to run through it. In terms of my writing, and if you do want to work with me, you can go to writing.smboyce.com and just meet me there.
I did say that.
I've been writing Storm. My fourth book releases in November. So that's really what I've been working on the most right now. Is just getting that.
It comes out in November. And actually, the first three are available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and all of the different sites, right?
Ooh, and I have a box set right now. My friends convinced me to create a box set of the first 3 books because there's 4 total. And there is a pre-order discount in the back of that box set for the 4th book you can get on my website.
Excellent. Perfect. So Rudi, as always, we were actually pushing our time over, but I'm going to give you your few minutes to say your piece because we are at the end of another season.
Yes, you believe that? Season 4 is coming to an end, and what an end it was. But you know, after all I heard tonight here, it brings up one name in my mind, and that is the name of Catherine Treat. If you remember her, she was our guest the first year, and you know, she has done everything that everybody talked about, and she's done it with a handicap in a way, because yes, you know, she's suffering from mold related illnesses. What was that?
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. You're muted again. I'm sorry. Unmute. Okay, go ahead, Rudi. I'm sorry.
But, you know, like I said, and I looked at the time when she wrote her book, I was involved with following her progress, and she designed her own cover. But she listened to people, and that's the one thing I guess I don't do well is listen. The first time anyhow, I do it the second time. But no, she really did everything, and here she was going on a tour. And I don't know how many of you know what her tour actually meant to her. She couldn't go out and sit in a library. She couldn't go out and sit in a bookstore because any kind of perfume or fragrance of any kind could cause her to have a relapse in her condition that she has. So she decided to do her tour in her neighborhood. And the best place to do it was outdoors. Every neighbor that she had just about gave it was last summer, gave a picnic party where they invited slews of friends to come in, and she would do her little spiel, and I'm sure she didn't use the word "buy my book." Again, she explained what it was all about, why she wrote it, what it has to do with anything, and again, she had a lot of one-on-one contact with people that came afterwards and talked to her. And one of the things that caused her to write her next book is the fact that a little child came and I'll go away. A little child came to her and stood in front of her and said, "Mommy, why is that lady wearing a mask?" And it stuck in her mind, where she started now a children's book explaining why she wears a mask, why there are people like her out there, what causes it. And like I said, everything we said tonight came to mind. That's exactly the way she handled it. And here she is a year later, and every day I still see her tweet and be involved with her group, be involved with the people that actually bought her book, are still asking her questions. And you know what? That's the way it has to be done. John touched on it. SM touched on it. Juliette, everybody, Peter, Pattimari touched on it. And you know what? I wish you guys would have been here before we started this show a year ago, or 2 years ago, whatever it was, because then I would be out there published. Right now, I'm having a little relapse, but I'm going to go and do it the right way the second time around. So that's my 5 cents worth tonight. And you know what? This has been great. Even though I'm not going to go on Twitter, I tried it, can't do it. You can see John and I can't say anything in 144 characters. If you have an hour, we'll tell you our little story. So, thank you. It's all yours, Darcie.
No, I think it's wonderful that you brought up Catherine. Catherine, she's been such a great supporter of ours, and we like to support her as much as we can as well. And there's the evidence. I mean, if you need the evidence, there's someone who really, truly can't get out like the rest of us, and yet she's finding a way. If there's a will, there's a way, and you'll find it to get yourself out there and market your book, because after all the effort you've put into it, that's what it deserves. I want to thank not only the guests that are here tonight, but all the guests that have been with us this season. I think, without question, this has been our very best season of SlushHeap. It has provided a lot of information. We've tried to walk you through every step of writing the book and getting it out there. We hope we've done a good job, and we'll be back in Season 5 with a new and improved time and hopefully a new and improved look. We might even, thank you to Aaron Wood, have a new and improved logo. So we just want to thank everyone who's taken the time to support us and help us out in any way they can, and we love to do the same for you. So with that, Rudi, we are at the end of Season 4, and we will be back this September to see everyone again.
Take care.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.